I have always stayed quiet about everything, especially everything political. Even starting a YouTube channel talking about self-improvement stuff felt very difficult for me because I was so afraid what people close to me are going to think about it, let alone talking about sensitive political topics. But I came to the conclusion that I should talk about this topic publicly, even if everyone is already tired of listening to everyone talking about it. But let me just quickly share my thoughts why I think it's important to talk about it. Even though there are all sorts of atrocities going on around the world that are also important to talk about. This one is so crucial to talk about because of the reactions. It's not just that the extreme crazy leftists are throwing a party over somebody's murder, but it's the fact that normal people, ordinary people on the left as well, are justifying it and downplaying it. And at the same time, I feel like a lot of ordinary people who are leaning a little bit right are so disgusted by the extreme reactions that now they are going more to the right. So the division caused by all this is really quite remarkable. So I will use one comment as an example, because you have already seen all the videos, the reaction videos, etc. You don't need to see those again for the thousandth time. There's a Canadian strongman called Mitchell Hooper, and he decided to make a video about this topic as well. And he got a lot of hate in his comments for that. And I decided to comment on his video as well. And I said in my comment that everyone is missing the point. I hear so many people say, but Charlie Kirk said this, but Charlie Kirk was this. But there is no but. That's what I said. I said, if you are celebrating somebody's murder, somebody's assassination, then there's something wrong with you. And to that, I got a couple of comments, couple of responses. First of them was something like, well, how did you feel when Osama bin Laden was assassinated? Which is not related to this case at all. So it's a very stupid comparison. And, also obviously Osama bin Laden was the leader of a terrorist organization that literally did kill people. It wasn't just hateful, but actually got people killed. There's a pretty big difference. And secondly, no, I did not throw a party. I did not cheer. I do remember somehow, vaguely, because I suppose I was already, I don't know, when was it even? I don't remember even. I have a very vague memory of that happening. Maybe I was in high school or something, who knows? But I read that and I was just like, oh, interesting. Because, I'm Finnish, I'm not American, so it wasn't as a big deal for me as it is for Americans, but that's probably why he threw that comment. But in any case, a very stupid comparison, obviously. Everyone with half a brain understands that's a stupid comparison. And then the other comment I got was, he was MAGA, that's all that matters. Okay, so this person is labeling him as something that justifies murder. So this person just exposes themselves as someone who justifies murder if you are labeled as something, which, gets us to the whole issue with us throwing around words and slurs and labels and not even thinking, not researching. Just like if I talk about leftists, it's kind of not good. Even talking about leftists and right-wingers is kind of not good because we are already creating these camps and labeling people, even though under the left wing there's all sorts of people. I know a lot of leftists and I love them. I myself used to be a leftist, and now I've been going to the right as I've gotten older, and I don't know where I am because I don't really care. I love what somebody said in the past, long time ago. He said he's human wing. He's not right wing or left wing, he's human wing. He was this imam from Iran, who wrote a book about, he was trying to be this imam of peace. And he wrote a book even about Islam, which I read, and it was interesting. I should reread that and tell you guys what that book was. But in any case, then we have these other more extreme labels, like communists. A lot of people on the right, they talk about leftists as communists, which is the same as the left talking about right-wingers as Nazis, which brings us back in time. And that's kind of dangerous because it was a different time and things were different. Societies were different. The media there was no internet. And obviously communists have done a lot of damage and evil, and so have Nazis. So when we call each other those names, those labels, we use those terms, we are dehumanizing each other. So it's not a good idea, but I have done that myself. I do have to admit, I have all the flaws of a human, all the very basic flaws of a human. I'm not proud of everything I've done or said. I'm still not proud of everything I do or I say. I can never be perfect. And, that's one of the reasons why a lot of people, I suppose, become religious, become Christian, because they love this concept of Jesus. So they can kind of think about this person who took on all the sins of humanity and kind of redeemed humanity. And I kind of understand why that story is so compelling, even though I am not religious myself. But in any case, back to the point, there is no but in this case. If you justify this murder, this horrific murder, I genuinely think you have to do some self-search, because you have consumed too much information and too many ideas, and you've been thinking so much about these things that it has made you dehumanize Charlie Kirk, and it has made you dehumanize the right and the Republicans and the whole MAGA movement, etc. And that's really, it's very basic. If you are saying anything, then you are too deep and you need to go touch some grass. Because look, I understand that some people not only disagreed with him, because that's the thing that people try to tell everybody, like, yeah, well, he was just saying things that you disagree with. Yeah, but they were kind of existential to some people. As a Finnish person, I have this good example for you guys. Charlie said to somebody in some contexts, look how well I do my research, that Finland is very Russian. And not only did that piss me off so bad that I hated his guts ever since, I thought he was a clown after just that. He just said that one thing. And before that, I didn't really listen to him because I didn't like the way he kind of seemed like he knows everything, even though he didn't. But whatever. But when he said that about Finland, I was so pissed off, especially in this world situation where Russia is invading other freaking countries and we happen to be the neighbor, this small neighbor that they have invaded before. So it's not only annoying to me, but also it's dangerous. Because if an influential person in the US can convince people that Finland is very Russian, then the US population, and therefore by extension the politicians, although I know there's disparity there, it's like the politicians do a lot of shit that the public doesn't want them to do. So I don't know, they kind of live their own lives these days, which is bad. But in any case, my point, If an influential person in the US can convince the US to not support Finland because they think we are Russian anyway, so why not just let Russia do what they want with us? We are screwed. My friends will die, my family will die, I will die, the Russians will take over, they will... I don't know what words I can use on YouTube because it's so stupid, the censorship, but they're gonna do all the things if they invade Finland any day. Thank God we were able to join NATO, but I believe Kirk said that it was a mistake to let Finland into NATO. So that is actually an existential threat to me as a Finnish person. So it's no longer about disagreeing about something, it's about dangerous rhetorics. It's about spreading a dangerous message. But that's still, I would never cheer for somebody being brutally murdered in front of their family. That's sick. There's no other word for that. That is simply sick. So you have to check yourself at that point. And all these comparisons, it's the same as saying but he was this. Yeah, but how about Osama bin Laden? No, don't compare, don't say buts. It was a person who was speaking and talking and trying to convince others through words, not violence. Do not cherish their death. Do not piss on their grave. That's not human. You're better than that. We are all better than that. That's the one good thing he did, was that he was debating people. Even though, as I've said, I didn't really like the guy. Personally, he didn't have the energy that I actually personally like, especially because I'm not religious. I think religions are made by humans. I think they are full of shit for a lot of reasons. I respect everyone religious, but I don't really understand that. And that's why, for example, Charlie, he wasn't my type when it comes to people I like to follow. But the one thing he was doing right was that he would tell somebody from the opposite camp to come over and talk and debate. That is exactly what we need, and it's very difficult to do. I'm recording these videos talking to my phone, not talking to any real person. Even if you leave a comment, it has an effect on me. If it's a negative comment, I feel my blood pressure shoot up a little bit. If it's a good comment, I feel good about it. So there is that connection, but nevertheless, when I'm making this video, it's not scary at all. And even when I do get those negative comments, I can still process them very differently than if you were actually physically sitting in front of me. So it's very difficult to do that kind of debating in the real life. And it's actually very powerful and very important. And imagine if there was people on the left and on the right going to campuses that same way, having those same debates. I think that would be the perfect world where everyone would go around and talk with literally everybody. And then accept that we get emotions and we get heated. And we would know how to deal with those heated emotions without lashing out physically and violently. So in any case, that's why I wanted to make a video about this, even though everybody on this goddamn earth has made a video about this, because it is important. Seeing those, there were literally demonic responses to the death of Kirk. I've seen some people scream at the camera and giggle and laugh. Like, if there were real demons in this world, that's what they would look like. It's insane. But it's not just those extreme people that are the problem. It's all the ordinary people. I follow a few people on my Instagram who are left-leaning, and they were justifying the death of Charlie. And don't say but. Because I saw so many, but he was for the gun, for the Second Amendment. He didn't want gun control. Yeah, I know it sucked what he said. Like, I really don't agree with what he said about how it's worth. How can you ever say that people dying in schools from school shootings is worth anything? That's not what you say. You should directly say, we need to do everything in our power to prevent that. Because some people believe in the Second Amendment, and at the same time, they believe they can lessen the gun violence. I think that makes more sense. But when you actually go like, oh yeah, well, people are gonna die, but whatever, we need to keep our guns. That's not the way to go about it, in my opinion. But in this case, anyway, I do want to point this out that it's not the gun laws of USA that allowed this murder to happen anyway. This could have easily happened in Finland, in any country except, I think in China it's probably really difficult to get a gun. I would imagine. Here in Finland, you only have to, I don't know, maybe it would take 2 months or something to get a rifle. My dad got a rifle a couple of years ago. It didn't take a long time for him to get that. So it's easy to do the same thing that happened in the US, even in a country like Finland, which is a Nordic country, which a lot of people oftentimes refer to Scandic and Nordic countries as some kind of paradise when it comes to these social things. But you can get a gun pretty easily here. Just not a mass shooting gun, not these automatic, semi-automatic, whatever. But for an assassination like this, you can get a rifle pretty easily. So it's not about that even in this. That's why I don't like it when people use that as an example in this case. Well, look what happened to him. He wanted this. Nah, not really. Would be different if he died in a situation where somebody opened fire with like the AR-15 and shot like countless of people. I think that would be a better comparison or example. Anyway, this was not the usual type of video I make on this channel, although I'm seriously thinking about switching to talking about just anything. Because I'm kind of running out of things to say when it comes to dating and self-improvement stuff, so I'm probably gonna upgrade my phone soon, so the videos are gonna be better quality, and then I'm just gonna be talking about topics. And I'm desperately always trying to walk kind of in the middle, but I will try to become more assertive, less agreeable, because it's important. And this case of Charlie Kirk, not the murder itself, but the aftermath, has shown how important it is. Because if somebody's justifying murder, we need to call it out. But at the same time, we need to listen to those people. And we need to ask, why? Why do you react this way? Let's talk. Let's see what our misunderstandings are, what our differences are, and how we can navigate those. Instead of lashing out and instead of calling each other Nazis and communists or fascists. That's the it's so effed up. I asked ChatGPT recently, can you define fascism for me? And it was literally exactly the far left. Everything that ChatGPT told me fascism is, you can find from the far left. And then you can say, yeah, well, that also applies to the far right, which is also true, probably. So that's what it is. I forgot what the saying is, that when you go to the far right and the far left, you actually end up in the same place. I think that's true. That's why we need to check ourselves. None of us are perfect. Our opinions are never so simple and black and white. The truth is never black and white. I think next video, maybe I'm actually going to finally talk about abortion, because I've been wanting to talk about abortion for a while because it's such a sensitive, flammable topic. And I really, again, I'm going to try to bring this sort of centrist view to it. And by that, I mean I understand both sides. Like, I actually genuinely understand both sides. Or I think I do. So if you're interested in that, remember to subscribe and like the video and stay tuned. Maybe next video will be the abortion video, or not. But in the near future, I will make that, because I've been wanting to make that for a long time now. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.